My relationship with my father has really unfolded tremendously the last couple of years. Uh, Basically, since my daughters moved out of their home, uh, he moved on to another place in his mind, I suppose. And, we had estranged ourselves from each other. It always takes two to tango. And not only, and my daughters were involved. They were collateral damage as a result of my mother and father's choices, and knowing full well that those ultimatums required of me were beyond my limitations at the time. They knew somewhere. I think they had hope, but it really wasn't their hope. It was it's a convoluted mess down here. All these forms, all the phenomena. Nothing inherently exists is what they were saying. Inherent existence doesn't exist. They were trying to say, and the Buddhists, the Geshe was explaining how and I put it in my terms this way: the ego, our self-concept, is always changing. What we think of ourselves and the image we have of ourselves is always changing. And as a result, it does not have inherent existence. It is not a thing in itself. And so it's an illusion. And there is something greater that is eternal. And though we seem to reenact the same stories over and over and over, in time, they are ever recurring. They're like the seasons repeating themselves. But there is something transcendent of time and space. But what that is, you can't say. You can't put terms on it. Terms cannot be put on it. All words turn back, from that. These are ways of describing it, but my father helped me. My dryer quit working in December. And I was visiting my parents for the yearly tradition of baking cookies. My mom has these great recipes that were passed down by her mother, Norwegian cookies. And I had mentioned how my dryer, broke, and I needed, but we've got a laundromat right here on the facility, so it's not like I really went without. But on my fixed income, he mentioned, he was thinking on buying me a new pair of glasses, because it had been a couple years since I'd gotten a new pair. And with all these budget crises happening here, I can go to a medical doctor and they can tell me that I have a problem, and they can tell me that how to fix the problem, and that is paid for, but the treatment is not paid for. So, they'll tell me you're sick, but there's nothing we can do for you unless you can pay for it yourself. So they're assured a job. They're assured that they get paid. And I'm made aware of my problem. Anyway, he decided, we worked out that he would help me buy a used dryer. And I've been paying back the last couple of months. I couldn't pay for it all at once, so I I paid him in installments, and we split the cost. And that was my Christmas present, and I'm really grateful for it. I like really practical things. Being that I live month to month, those are my concerns. I really don't think outside those monthly concerns. And so the past couple months have been really tight, really tight. But like I say, I got nothing to complain. I have stores of food, and but I'm not able to go to the coffee shop and buy a cup of coffee and sit there and have my social time. Though I have plenty of friends that would buy me a cup of coffee, and I'm really grateful for that. I just think it has to do with pride, you know, living within my means, and trying not to take more than my share. And I'm still struggling with that. You know, this mutual arising thing, where all the phenomena mutually arises, and that means that they're all interconnected and interdependent. Nothing exists in and of itself in space and time. It means that they're all working with each other to support each other. Nature is the ultimate conservative that utilizes everything. And utilization is key, because I describe two types of conservative in certain situations when people are getting caught up in the stuff of time. I say, you know, one kind of conservative I consider a hold-fast, sticky hair hoarder. And they see the world as there not being enough. And since there's not enough, they've got to get their share. And there are the haves and the have-nots. It's fixed. It's living a life of exile, where there's never going to be enough, and they've got to hold fast, sticky air hoard as much as they can. And then the other kind of conservative I call the utilizer, and they see the world as divinely superfluous, where there's more than we could ever use in it, and the best we can do is utilize as much as we can in the moment. That helps. It's a good example I use in certain situations, because some people get really caught up in their ego image protecting itself and grasping on to what they want, you know, what they're running away from and what they're desiring and going towards, and they lose sight of the bigger picture. And the larger the system, the more consumptive it is, the more it requires products to be consumed, produced for consumption. And you got to be careful about getting too big for our britches. So it's been very enjoyable the last few years, being with some elders, now my father included in these, and having conversations. And you know, he's coming to a point where he realizes that I have no concern for the stuff of time if it's going to take me out of this big picture, this larger perspective that There's a divinely superfluous beauty that can be experienced and bring us tremendous joy. And if we get caught up in the limitations, the shortcomings, the flaws, what is broken, it can turn into a wasteland really quick. And, you know, personally in my experience, I realized I had to go down to those darkest abysses to come to this point where I made a choice. And I realized the choice was, do I want to be here? Do I want to live? Or do I choose to not put up with it? Not deal with it? Say, that's enough for me. And something arose in me and said, I choose to be here. I don't have to be here. I choose to be here.